Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Cycle on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Anyeti Patrick. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. President Bola Tinubu has written to the Nigerian Senate seeking approval for a $516.3 million foreign loan to finance sections of the proposed Sokoto-Badagry Superhighway project. In a letter read by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, the request includes approval for financing from Deutsche Bank to fund sections 1A and 1B of the highway, as well as the inclusion of the loan in the federal government's borrowing plan already approved by the legislature. National Assembly correspondent takes it from here. The proposed 1,000-kilometer highway is expected to link Sokoto, Kebbi, Niger, Kwara, Oyo, Ogun, and Lagos states, stretching from Ilela to Badagry, and is projected to enhance trade, reduce travel time, improve road safety. The request, contained in a letter addressed to the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, was read during plenary, setting the stage for legislative consideration of the financing plan.
For the construction of the Sokoto-Badagry Superhighway Project Sections 1, Phase 1A and Phase 1B. The purpose of this letter is to request the Senate for the resolution of the National Assembly pursuant to the provisions of Sections 16 and 21 of the Debt Management Bureau Establishment Act 2011.
Speaking on the project, Adamu Alero, representing Kebbi Central, commended the President, noting its potential impact on national security and economic development.
I want to tell this hollow chamber and indeed Nigerians that this project is now a reality. I have inspected the project and I have seen progress that has been made. I'm highly impressed with what I saw. That is standard construction of concrete road, not asphalt road, concrete road, and not only that, the road is also furnished with street light, solar street lights.
Following the presentation, the Senate referred the request to its Committee on Local and Foreign Debts for further legislative scrutiny, directing it to report back within 1 week. The Senate leadership subsequently urged its Committee on Local and Foreign Debts to expedite its review to enable timely consideration of the request. The loan is expected to have a tenure of 9 years, including a 3-year grace period, with an interest rate tied to the secured overnight financing rates plus 5.3%. From the National Assembly, Anyeti Patrick, Global TV News. President Bola Tinubu has approved a 17 billion naira community-based National Social Action Fund aimed at accelerating grassroots development across Nigeria's 8,804 political wards, in a move aimed at deepening local participation in service delivery and improving socio-economic outcomes. The initiative, announced in a statement in Abuja by the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare and signed by Ado Bako, Assistant Director of the Information and Public Relations, will be implemented through a newly established task force designed to drive community-led interventions nationwide. According to the statement, each ward will work with a verified community-based organization to identify and execute priority projects tailored to local needs. President Bola Tinubu has held a closed-door meeting with the extended leadership of the Senate at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. The Senate delegation was led by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and included Deputy Senate President Barau Jibril, Senate Leader Okoyemi Bamidele, and Senate Minority Leader Abba Moro. Far-reaching decisions on key national issues were reached during the high-level engagement, which addressed matters described as being of urgent national importance. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Senate has condemned the recent resurgence of terrorist attacks across the country, particularly assaults targeting military formations, describing them as a threat to national security and stability. The resolution followed a motion sponsored by the Senate Whip Tahir Mongunu, who expressed deep concern over deadly attacks on military formation. National Assembly correspondent again takes it from here. Lawmakers in the Nigerian Senate have strongly condemned the renewed wave of terrorist attacks across the country, particularly those targeting military formations. The resolution came after a motion sponsored by Senate Chief Whip. The resolution came after a motion sponsored by Senate Whip Tahir Mongono, who expressed deep concern over the increasing frequency and deadly nature of the attacks.
The Senate notes with deep concern the recent attacks on military formation leading to casualties among troops, including Brigadier General Husseini Brahimo, Colonel Mohamed Isaya, Captain A.M. Ismat, Lieutenant Kelvin Pestuns, and 13 other soldiers.
Contributing to the debate, Aline Dume stressed the need for urgent and comprehensive measures to tackle insecurity.
Mr. President, the Chief Whip has said it all, and the motion also confirms what we are going through in the Northeast. What is happening in the Northeast, particularly Borno, is being felt everywhere.
Similarly, Abamoru raised concerns over recent killings in Benue South, urging immediate intervention.
Ankpali Ediku was attacked in January 2025, and only in April 2026, Ankpali Ediku has been attacked again, leaving in the wake of it several deaths and property destroyed.
Responding, the Deputy President of the Senate, Barau Jibri, said President Bola Tinubu has been briefed on the situation and was taking steps to address the challenges.
The issue of insurgency, the IC, Boko Haram, and the rest, these are insurgents that wreak havoc on people of several countries in West Africa.
In a solemn gesture, lawmakers observed a minute of silence in honor of the fallen soldiers and affected civilians. The Senate subsequently urged the federal government to strengthen military training on civilian protection and ensure strict adherence to rules of engagement and international humanitarian law. From the National Assembly, Aniete Patrick, Global TV News. In the meantime, the Senate has confirmed the nomination of Muttaka Dama as the Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria following his screening by lawmakers in plenary. Dama, nominated by President Bola Tinubu, was cleared after responding to questions on his competence, policy, direction, and plans to tackle Nigeria's housing crisis. During the screening, the minister-designate pledged to work closely with the National Assembly to address the country's huge housing deficit, outlining reforms aimed at improving leadership, expanding access to affordable housing, and strengthening institutions in the sector. The Green Chamber of the House of Representatives has called for the expeditious passage of the bill seeking to create special seats for women in the national and state houses of assembly, aimed at ensuring equitable representation in legislative bodies. The resolution followed the adoption of a motion of urgent national importance sponsored by Jesse Oke-Jo Onukalusi, who urged lawmakers to prioritize the bill and secure the constitutionally required two-thirds majority in both chambers of the National Assembly. The House directed its relevant committees, including those on constitutional review, women affairs, and electoral matters, to harmonize and fast-track deliberations on the bill and report back within a defined legislative time frame. Lawmakers were also urged to support the bill at every stage of consideration. Away Away from legislative matters, leaders of the All Progressives Congress in Nigeria's southeast have intensified calls for unity and strategic realignment as Governor Hope Uzodinma hosted a high-level delegation from Abia State, led by Benjamin Kalu at the Government House in Owerri. Our correspondent, Amarachi Ibe, has the rest of the story.
The atmosphere at the Government House banquet in Owerri reflects growing political urgency in Nigeria's southeast as Governor Hope Uzodinma received a high-powered delegation of leaders from the Abia State chapter of the All Progressive Congress, APC. Led by the Deputy Speaker of House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu. The visit brought together key figures within the ruling party, all converging to deliberate on the region's political future, with a strong appeal for unity. Governor Uzodinma urged political actors in the southeast to set aside differences and align their interests, stressing that a more coordinated approach is necessary to address what he described as an unfavorable political outcome from the 2023 general elections.
So the only way to reintegrate properly and take charge of our destiny and heritage is to be part and parcel of the going concern, which is All Progressive Congress. We must have a say in this fight. We must bring our first level to join our party. If you're a true Igbo man, today in Nigeria, you must be a member of the APC.
The meeting also looked ahead with conversations centered on strengthening the party's structure in the region and building wider support for President Bola Tinubu as preparations gradually begins towards the 2027 polls. In their separate remarks, party leaders emphasized discipline, cooperation, and a shared vision as essential tool for progress, noting that only a united front can reposition the APC for greater relevance in the southeast.
Did you drive on the road that came here? Did you see the road, the quality road? Drive around, you'll see more. Today I was coming here, I saw AI Center. Class, I mean, it's like what you see overseas. All the people that mattered in Niger State politically from 1999 to 2023, they are all here.
We have come here, sir, to seek a higher level that you have called us today for us to continuously improve on what we had in 2023.
As the meeting drew to a close, there was a common understanding among attendees. Unity remains the pathway to political strength in the region. From Government House Owerri, Amarachi Ibe, reporting for Global TV News.
You're watching the live broadcast of News Cycle. News Cycle continues after this weather forecast plus business, foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Hello and welcome to the weather forecast. The northern region is expected to remain largely sunny and dry, maintaining stable conditions, while the central cities will see a mix of sunshine and clouds with generally fair conditions. Moving to the south, the morning start cloudy with chances of isolated thunderstorms over parts of Akwa Ibom, Cross River, and southern Taraba. By afternoon and evening hours, prospect of thunderstorms increases with widespread thunderstorms and rains expected across the southern region, extending into parts of Adamawa, Taraba, the FCT, Kwara, Kogi, and Benue State. And that's the forecast for Friday. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more update. I'm Safia Senginusa.
It's good to have you back on News Cycle. In business, President Bola Tinubu says the resolution of outstanding financial liabilities by the Central Bank of Nigeria marks a major turning point in strengthening Nigeria's economic and aviation ties with the United Kingdom and its flagship carrier, British Airways. This was disclosed in a statement issued by the presidential spokesperson, Bayo Ononuga following a meeting with a delegation from British Airways as the airline celebrates 90 years of operations in Nigeria. The president noted that his administration has prioritized addressing financial bottlenecks that previously strained relationships with international airlines. Meanwhile, the federal government is considering debt waivers and tax relief measures to prevent a shutdown of domestic airline operations in Nigeria following a sharp rise in Jet A1 aviation fuel prices. The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, disclosed this after a meeting in Abuja. He noted that the move comes amid rising concerns over of local airline operations as fuel prices have surged in recent weeks. The federal government says if the country can reduce post-harvest loss of farm produce by just 10%, it will drive food availability. Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abdullahi Aliyu, made the disclosure during the 2026 Post-Harvest Connect and Root, Tuber and Banana Conference in Abuja, where he stressed that improving post-harvest management could significantly improve food stability and affordability across the country. He also highlighted the alarming rates of agricultural produce wastage in Nigeria, with farmers losing up to 70% of their harvest due to inadequate storage and poor post-harvest management. Africa is said to be losing billions of dollars annually by continuing to export raw agricultural produce instead of processed goods. An agro-industrial and founder of Davidola said this: the continent is sitting rather on a major economic opportunity that is yet to fully harness. Speaking to the House of Representatives press corps in Abuja, the agro-industrial expert Olusegun Alabi emphasized the need for deliberate support for indigenous companies to drive transformation across the sector and boost foreign exchange earnings. National Assembly correspondent tells us more. The founder of Davidola Farms, Segun Alabi, says Africa's dependence on raw commodity exports is stalling economic growth and deepening poverty across the continent. Speaking in Abuja while addressing journalists, Alabi called for an urgent shift from raw agricultural exports to value-added agro-industrial production, describing current system as economically unstable. He warned that Africa's export structure continues to trap countries in a cycle where wealth is created but not retained.
We import finished products. We export jobs. We import unemployment. This is not just an economic issue. It is a structural problem affecting our future. Every pineapple exported raw is a missed opportunity, missed job, missed revenue, missed industrial growth. We are not poor because we lack resources. We are poor because we are not capturing the value.
Alabi argued that exporting raw produce while importing finished goods is equivalent to exporting jobs and importing poverty, stressing that the model limits industrial growth and revenue generation. He called on government to prioritize agro-processing infrastructure, improve access to finance, and support export-oriented local industries. Alabi, however, warned that failure to act could worsen unemployment and deepen dependence on imports, while urging investors to shift focus to value chain development. Aniete Patrick, Global TV News. Another foreign any Iranian boats suspected of laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz, while also directing intensified mine-clearing operations in the strategic waterway. He said U.S. naval mine-sweeping activity is ongoing and should be tripled, warning of no hesitation in responding to any threats. Iran has warned it will defend itself as tensions continue over control of the Strait of Hormuz, a key global oil route. The European Union has unveiled new plans to tackle the ongoing energy crisis triggered by the Middle East conflict. EU Energy Commissioner Dan Jurgensen says the bloc must urgently reduce its reliance on fossil fuels. Zarao Nasir tells us more.
At a press conference in Brussels, Dan Jurgensen outlined a roadmap aimed at strengthening Europe's energy security through a transition to cleaner alternatives. He described the current crisis as a defining moment for the region's energy future.
This must be a wake-up call and a turning point. When Europe steps away from fossil fuel dependence and steps toward clean energy autonomy, because now it is more obvious than ever. Clean energy means security. It means affordability. It means independence.
Johansson further emphasized that the EU must accelerate electrification across key sectors to reduce vulnerability and global supply shocks. He stressed that moving away from fossil fuels is now both an economic and strategic necessity.
This is why, today, we propose an acceleration towards electrification. Now is the time to push fossil fuels out of electricity production. Now is the time to electrify industry, transport, heating systems and buildings across Europe.
The European Commission says the proposed measures form part of a broader strategy to boost investment in renewable energy, improve infrastructure, and ensure long-term energy independence across member states. Zahra Unasir, Global TV News.
Mixed reactions have continued to trail the UK's proposed cigarettes ban, targeting people born after 2008. While authorities say the move will create a smoke-free generation, many citizens remain divided over its potential impact. Mukhtar Qasim reports.
In Buxton, younger residents raised concerns that the ban may not effectively curb smoking among teenagers. They argue that peer pressure remains a major factor and warn that limiting access could push cigarette sales into illegal channels.
It's a difficult one because you could have, on one side it's good because then younger people who are going to be impacted by it, won't be able to get addicted to smoking. But in the same breath, I would argue, civil rights and older people who are informed about all the risks and everything should be able to make their own choices with it all personally.
I don't think it'll have an impact on young people as it is because peer pressure exists and that's how it starts. It's not a case of, oh, I'm going to pick up a cigarette just because I want to. It's, oh, my friends are doing it and they've just passed me one.
Yeah, banning smoking. I suppose there's a number of aspects up to that. Obviously there's the health aspect to it. Smoking isn't good for you. We know all the health risks with it. It affects every organ in your body, and it's antisocial. However, if you're talking about rights as well, people have a right to do things or a right to sort of do unhealthy pursuits like smoking. So that obviously comes into the equation.
Older residents, however, largely support the measure, describing it as a necessary step to protect future generations from addiction. Some acknowledge the health benefit, but emphasize the need to balance public health policies with individual rights.
I think it's a really good idea, and then teenagers will never start to smoke and be peer pressured into smoking cigarettes, which is what a lot of us did as young teenagers. And I'm a nurse and I see a lot of people who come into the surgery trying to give up smoking, but it's because they've been pressured into it as young teenagers.
And I think it's absolutely a really good idea. As a former smoker, I've been giving up now 15 years and it's the best thing I ever did. I smoked for 40 odd years because in them days you go with the flow and it's not a good thing to go with the flow, I think it's a good thing and I hope it sticks.
As the UK moves closer to implementing the policy, the divide in public opinion underscores the complexity of tobacco control measures. The debate continues to center on striking a balance between safeguarding public health and preserving personal freedom. Mukhtar Kassim, reporting for Global TV News.
Nigeria Football Federation President Ibrahim Gusau has been in patron of Hope Unity Cup Football Association in Abuja. Yaya Kwande, chairman of the Plateau State Football Association. The Renewed Hope Unity Cup is designed to involve all 774 local government areas across Nigeria, with a stated aim of uniting young Nigerians through football while providing a platform for youth empowerment and talent development. The Nigeria Rugby Football Federation will kick off their 3-day coaching and medical course in Ogun State as part of efforts to strengthen grassroots development in the sport. The program, organized in partnership with the Ogun State Rugby Association, will run till Saturday, with sessions taking place at the Mitros Residences and the MKO Abiola Sports Arena in Abeokuta. The initiative is being led by the Federation's Chief Operating Officer, Tunde Delu. The program reflects a broader commitment to building rugby through structured grassroots development. And that brings us to the wrap on News Cycle. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using @Global TV NG. I am Anieti Patrick. Thank you for watching.